Yeah, the name is on. January.
I just wanted to. I wanted to know.
Yeah, I guess so I
Safety and all.
The amount of. And I. More than required.
Okay, thank you.
What was it? Eight. Did my college jobs with being in.
Those high school is to order at 7:11 p.m. Sorry for the delay. Some people were at our other location and we wanted to try to gather us all at the same time. So the first thing we will do is have a pledge of allegiance. Like I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States. To the flag. One nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
here. Okay, and the next item, drum roll, is the oath of office for the 3 people that were just elected on November 8th. And Dr. Meyer will. Yeah, thank you. And good evening, everyone. I'm going to go in the order as it is posted, and we will go one at a time. So I would like to start with Catherine Monaghan, if you could come out here, please. I think they want to see you, so I'm going to stand this way. Okay. If you could please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Catherine Vonnegut, do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States. And the Constitution of the State of California. Against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States. And that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States. And the Constitution of the State of California. That I take this objection freely. Obligation. This obligation freely. Without any mental reservation. Or purpose of evasion. And that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter. Congratulations. Thank you. Next, I would like to welcome Vita Corns to the podium, please. Okay. So if you could please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Vita Corns, do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California. That I take this obligation freely. Without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion. And that I will well and faithfully discharge. The duties upon which I am about to enter. Congratulations. Now, if I could ask Esmeralda Ortiz, please, into the podium. So if you could please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Esmeralda Ortiz, I, Esmeralda Ortiz, do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States. Do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California and the Constitution of the State of California against all enemies, foreign and domestic. Against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And that I will bear true faith and allegiance. And that I will bear true faith and allegiance. To the Constitution of the United States. To the Constitution of the United States. And the Constitution of the State of California. Constitution of the State of California. That I take this obligation freely. That I take this obligation freely. Without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion. Without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion. And that I will well and faithfully discharge. And that I will well and faithfully discharge. The duties upon which I am about to enter. The duties upon which I am about to enter. Congratulations. Meyer. Now that we're duly sworn in, I will take a roll call. Let the record show that all 5 trustees are present. And Sadie, our school student trustee, is also present.
Oh, sorry, it was a bit here just.
And then see her in a couple minutes. Great, thank you. Okay. Approval of the agenda. I would entertain a motion for approval of the agenda.
Motion.
Okay.
Second.
It's been moved by Nita and seconded by Phil to approve the agenda. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye. Aye. That's a 5-0. Next is recognitions and resolutions. This is always fun. So Dr. Meyer, would you like to present our spotlight?
I would, thank you very much. All right, let me see, here we are, our team's goal over there. All right, well, first of all, I want to share that every month, Mountain View Los Altos High School District selects community members or a community member who contributes greatly and partners beautifully with our district. So tonight, we are recognizing the PTSA leaders who represent their PTSA members. And just a few words about them before we give them our MVLA Spotlight Award. Having worked in high schools for a very long time, oftentimes at the high school level, you start to see the participation go down a little bit, and that sometimes parents are not as involved. That is absolutely not the case here in Mountain View Los Altos. And that is because of our partnership with the PTSA and the hard, dedicated, professional work that our leaders do. Every month, Tuesday night or Wednesday. Tara Williamson, Cindy Zinn, and Jen Dennebein worked with us as leaders through the pandemic. They also create a culture that is fun, allows the site administration to share the highlights of what is going on, and also gives back to our students in so many different ways. So tonight, we are honoring all 3 of them, and we look forward to giving you just a small token of our appreciation for you to share with the PTSA. And we are just so grateful for the contributions and the support that you give us every day. So thank you, congratulations. I think we'll start with Jen perhaps, and we'll just say a few words and I'll bring these up to you.
Wow. Thank you. Was expecting this. I just want to say that we really appreciate being honored tonight. The PTSA does a lot of work, but we don't do it by ourselves. We work so closely with our school site administration and the district administration. And, you know, last year we contributed over 10,000 hours of volunteer work, along with about 820 individual parent volunteers or family volunteers at putting on events like Writers Week, STEAM Week, doing the lunch service, teacher appreciation, and so much more. And we're able to do so much because of our parent donations. And we just so appreciate everyone who still contributes, everyone who still volunteers. And we just thank you, the district, for all of the support that we get. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, thank you so much for having us and thank you for this honor. It's really special. It means a lot. We are really excited about the Mountain View PTSA this year. And just to start a little bit about us, I'm Cindy Zinn, as you mentioned, and I have a son, Miles, who's a junior, and a daughter, Sasha, who's a freshman.
And I'm Tara Williamson. We don't want you to forget us, so we thought we'd tell you all about us. I have Abby, who's just left for college. She's a freshman and she graduated from Mountain View, and I have Sam, who's a freshman in high school. And you might be wondering why there's two of us. So one of us is technically the executive vice president and one is the president. But we have started working together when the girls were in preschool. And so we just work really well as a team together and we can get more done. So there's two of us, so we have twice as many comments. Real quick, again, thank you for this. And we love working with the community, kind of like all PTSAs. We start the year with our direct ask campaign, trying to raise funds for important things that we need throughout the year, and volunteer recruitment, which is still super important at the high school level, which I didn't know that we were going to be done asking for volunteers. And, you know, we provide financial support, coordinate the volunteers, and we organize a lot of events for the school, like the Welcome Back Coffee and staff appreciation events, and our senior grad night. So a lot of parents are still involved. And we're happy to do one of the most important things we feel like in our community is to support students that need financial help to be able to do the things that we have, like tickets to dances, senior pictures. So that's one of the things that we make sure that we're always supporting. And it's been so great to finally be back in person. This year, we kind of did something new. We did a welcome back coffee, and I think there were like over 150 people that came. And we had little tables from Sports Boosters and the foundation and Avid, just kind of like a little fair to bring community back together, because it's been really hard after 2 years of doing Zoom meetings. So our big plan is to try to build back community this year. And we're super excited to have Dr. Glazer at that event too, because that was the first time a lot of people had. So that's kind of the beginning of the year of what we did.
And then some of the other goals of the PTSA, one of our big goals is to try and make our meetings more interesting, more informative, and more inclusive. So at our meetings, we try to showcase the different Mountain View High School groups and clubs and organizations throughout the year so that our community can learn about the amazing things that they've accomplished and that they're doing. So far this year, we've had ASB, the Oracle, Sports Boosters, MD Care, Spartan Cause, and we had a really good presentation on career technical education. Something else we're doing this year is that we're really excited to deepen our partnership with the LPO, Latin Parent Organization, and the MDHS Spanish-speaking community. We now offer translation services at our meetings, present our slides in English and Spanish, and we hope that this will continue to engage a more diverse community within the MBA, a more diverse and connected community here at MDHS. In addition to these highlights, we have been excited this year because I think we've done some new things like collaborating more with the Los Altos High PTSA, the foundation, the district office, and the Family Partnership Council. And the most exciting thing is that I think we've had the lucky pleasure to work with Dr. Glazer and her team to create a stronger partnership between the PTSA and the administration. And we're so lucky with such a great team to work with. That's just a quick summary of us, and feel free to come to our meetings. They're on Wednesdays every other month, or contact us and let us know of any other thing you'd like to share.
Thank you so much.
Ladies, could you wait 1 minute up here and let our student photographer take a picture or two of all three of you together with your class? Thank you so much. I would like to point out that one of our new board members, Theta,
and her family brought cake in celebration of our election and swearing in. And so if people would like to partake of cake in someone, and you might be leaving early or whatever, you can probably sneak this cake before you leave. And all the other honorees for other reasons can have cake too. So thank you, Theta, for doing that. Next would be board member reports. Is there any board member that would like to say something?
Yes.
Well, Phil came first.
I think an honor of Pete is sent to the board, she should do.
Oh, you go.
The only thing I wanted to say was I have a movement disorder, so you may notice me moving. I just move randomly, that's just how I am. So it is not a comment on whatever you're saying, it is simply the random firing of my brain.
Phil.
Okay, thank you. I should add that since we're confessing here, I don't hear well. So the translation here, the transcription to hear what people are saying. So if you see me looking at my computer or my phone, those are transcription services. I'm not 49. No time is 49. Anyway, my other announcement is that Marcia Delaudet, who has been for almost 6 years now, the executive director of CHAC, has retired and will be leaving CHAC at the end of this month. And to honor her years of service, and in particular, her rallying CHAC during the pandemic to provide mental health services for the students at Mountain View, Los Altos, and in the Mountain View Wisdom District and at the Los Altos School District. She did a fantastic job, had chat on telehealth within 2 weeks, serving our students. She brought therapists to campus as quickly as she could, more quickly than we were able to bring students. So only a few students who were on campus had those services, but they needed them. The trouble is that so many more of our students needed those services. And now with Marcia gone, we will be selecting a new ED. But before she leaves on January 29th, CHAC is holding a celebration of her years of service. And I do hope that people will be able to go to that January 29th, put it on your calendar, and say thank you to Marcia for her years of service to us and to the community. That's it.
Anyone else? Otherwise, I have a couple of comments, and that is that Theta and Esme and I all went to the CSBA, which is California School Board Association, annual conference in San Diego. The last day of November and the first couple days of December. So rushed right into school board work because these guys were elected for the first time, and it's always an event that is informative for all of the board each year. And Dr. Meyer was there, and we had collaborations with Mountain View Wisman as well as Los Altos Elementaries, different meals with them and discussions with our partner district. So that was great, and came back with quite a few. I did anyway. I hope you guys did. Some training for those guys as new board members, and then some interesting seminars that we will bring the information to our administration or ourselves, along with their group, to forward some innovative ideas. I mean, considered with their convention. So that's all I have. Student board members. Alba, would you like to go first? Alba, Alba, would you like to go first?
Yes, I'm sorry. For the report. Okay, great. Yeah, so I'm Alba. Hi to our new board members. I'm the school board, student school board member from Mountain View High School. So right now, the main thing taking up everyone's time at Mountain View is final season. Teachers and students in administration, just wrapping up the semester. We also had our school newspaper, Oracle, publish their second paper edition of the year. Our ambassadors program had wellness week, or is having wellness week this week, sorry. They had yoga as a lunchtime activity and multiple wellness activities during lunch, and then we will be ending off the week with Spartan Pause tomorrow. Our winter sports season has also gone into full force. Our girls and boys basketball team have been practicing and playing games, as well as girls and boys soccer and our wrestling program. Our dance spectrum program had their winter showcase, which was exciting, engaging, and impressive performance, which a lot of the school and parents engaged in. Last week during a DLAC meeting, we celebrated 23 of our ELD students becoming reclassified, which means that these students are now able to take English classes that are open to all our Mountain High School students, which is a huge accomplishment for them in the ELD department. Overall, it's been an amazing semester. It's been busy, but I look forward to the next year and the next semester with the board, with Mountain View administration, Dr. Glazer, and all of our students.
Thank you. And I'm glad you had a great semester. I think they're almost done with your great semester. How about Sadie, what do you have to say about the Saltos?
Yeah, we are doing quite a bit right now. We just wrapped up our food drive where we hit our landmark of $15,000 and we went above and we raised $17,162. We're really proud of our work. Everyone's been working hard, whether it's publicity, getting things up in the different classes, having incentives, because no one donates like when they're donating for donuts. We also have our wellness week this week. Today was probably our most popular day, SCL, or Student Community Leadership class. They had animals come to the quad and everyone had a lot of fun looking at all the little animals. This entire week we've had dress up days and we've had different events such as wellness kits for people who look at stress toys, face masks, bath bombs, and just different ways to de-stress going into finals week. We're also having gifts of gratitude as part of wellness week. This is ASB run and it's a way for students and teachers to give gifts, small little gifts to other students and teachers in the Los Altos community. This could be maybe a chapstick or a chocolate or a little stuffed animal. And it's a really great way to show your appreciation for someone, because you can also attach a little note to it. We also met with Superintendent Dr. Meyer and we talked about a variety of issues, everything from the schedule, final schedules, final rules, and different classes, plugged with pathways that we really appreciate. And we're very grateful for your ability to reach out with us and communicate with us more. Our Blue Crew team is promoting tomorrow night girls basketball team to kick off the winter sports season. We really look forward to supporting them and all of our winter sports this year. We also met with the food coordinator for MVLA and we got a sneak peek at some of the new meals that they're rolling out. And we got to learn a little bit more about what the cafeteria does and give some feedback about what we think can change as terms of lines and different meals and such like that. We also have the holiday fair coming up tomorrow. This is an ASB run event. That's a really great opportunity for different clubs to fundraise and get more publicity about their name on campus. We're going to be selling everything from candles to churros to cookies. And this is always really popular going into finals, just to get yourself a little snack or something during lunch. And finally, we've got finals and they end the week, they end Thursday the 22nd. These days are half days, which is really helpful. And we have a 30-minute break in between to get a snack, walk around, or do some more preparing before our next test. Thank you.
Thank you, Sadie. Is there any questions for student program? Thank you. Next, we have students of the month. And so, Sadie, would you like to introduce us to students in play?
Sure. Susan, do you want to come up here? Should I go to the podium?
Yes.
Los Altos High School is excited to honor Susan Clay as our December Student of the Month. It is a privilege to recognize all of her accomplishments throughout her time at Los Altos High School. At school, Susan is the co-captain of her school robotics team and leads the programming part of the team, a job that entails the design, creation, and testing of the team's robot code. She also maintains the programming team schedules, mentors junior programmers, and leads curriculum of the development and teaching of the new robotics students. In her freshman year, they were in the LA North Regional Finals, and last year they attended the World Championship. Last year, her design for the robot helped them win a first robotics competition creativity. Before she was the co-captain at LAHS,
Susan competed in volleyball, an international successful or fully autonomous middle and high school robotics competition. In her 8th grade year, she joined a team of 11th and 12th graders. Although she was young, she became the primary programmer of one of the robots and competed in the international finalist competition. Her passions for computer science have led her to learn and become proficient in computer programming languages like C++, Java, and Python. She is currently learning C#, C# Unity, and HTML, CSS. To this end, Susan has competed in USACO, an algorithmic programming competition. Currently, she is in the silver level with around 4,500 high school and college competitors. She wants to encourage middle schoolers to get involved with and passionate about computer programming too. And right now, she is teaching Python to 6th through 8th graders with backgrounds traditional and underrepresented in STEM. But her love of science goes beyond computers. She is also interested in biology, particularly in improving new medicines and advancing the knowledge of diseases. In her research project, she is working on predicting the toxicity and side effects of a group of drugs integral in the current treatment of HIV. She is training neural networks to assist with predicting and analyzing the toxicity and specific effects of HIV-1 protease inhibitors. Since she was 6, Susan has loved dancing. Right now, she practices ballet 8 to 10 hours a week. One of her favorite productions was when she played Clara in the Nutcracker. She was also a ballet instructor for 2 years, where she helped teach and guide younger students. But her artistic talents goes beyond that of performing arts. Susan also plays the violin and sings for her choir, Cantabile Youth Singers. She started playing the violin 5 years ago and has performed with her choir in Carnegie Hall. She was even awarded the rating of excellent at the California Music Educators Association Violin Competition in 2018. As Susan thinks about her next steps after LHS, she knows that she wants to continue her education of computer science and STEM, and hopes to prepare for a career in computer science. Congratulations, Susan, for receiving the December Student of the Month and for all of your amazing success and dedication to giving back to your community and school. As a model student and leader, we can't wait to see all of your amazing accomplishments coming your way.
Yes, I guess as someone who has a daughter who studies computer science, I'm really impressed by your giving back and teaching people who are about computer science and who need more marginal experience in computer science. So thank you so much for giving that. And I think that's very impressive. And I wanted to ask you, how do you think your neural network combined with biology to have your ideal job? So you're a woman of many talents.
Yeah, one of the current challenges in chemistry and biology is that the systems that we need to model, like for example, to see if a drug is going to be toxic to the human body, the system of the entire human body with all the chemical and biological interactions is too complicated for a traditional machine to model traditionally. So instead, what we have to do is come up with some sort of regression or approximation so that even if we don't know all the little bits and pieces that go on, we can take inputs and outputs that we know from actually testing drugs and use a machine model to see if it can make some sort of prediction between the inputs and outputs. And the machine model will use some regression technique, which will try to find some pattern from the inputs to outputs, so that even if we can't model the human body system in its entirety, we can still hopefully extract the information that we want, and it can still be accurate. So that's
More questions? I think I saw Sanjay's second.
So congratulations, very impressive resume. I think she was running out of breath. Reading to it, so just an amazing example of what our students can accomplish here. So congratulations. I'm curious, for the World Championship, what was the task that you needed to do in the competition?
There were 2 main tasks in the game. one of the tasks was you have to shoot a ball. It's like a very large tennis ball, so it's like a tennis ball that's the size of a basketball. And you had to shoot it into like an 8-foot high hoop. So that was one of the tasks. And then, well, you had to shoot a bunch of balls into the hoop, hopefully. And then at the end of the game, there was the task that they had like think of like monkey bars, almost like a climbing bar truss where your robot can climb up onto the bars. And doing all of those things can ultimately get you points, which is what contributes to winning the game. But yeah, that's what the robot had to do.
Now, do you have to start the project from scratch, or do you build upon what the teams did previous years?
For the most part, you have to start from scratch. Like there's specific general designs that are useful year to year. Like for example, mechanically, a shooter to shoot a ball, there's a traditional design where you have like a spinning wheel to spin the ball through, and then like a hood that can go up and down so you can get different launch angles. So that sort of thing is useful every time you have a year with a, shooting a ball, but every year the ball is going to be different. Like this year the ball was very fuzzy, so buds can come off, so sometimes it can get stuck in the shooter like that, so we gotta make sure that doesn't happen. Programming wise, generally how you drive the robot is very similar year to year, so we can keep some of that code, but a lot of the code for like specific tasks, like climbing onto the truss, that has to be new. So some things we can reuse, but a lot of it is new.
Well, thank you very much.
Desmond?
Just a comment, congratulations, Susan, and I'm sure whatever comes next will be as exciting as everything that was just shared today. And just want to underscore how much you model like what it means to love for learning in so many different ways, which is I think really important as you go through various school experiences. So just thank you for inspiring.
Thank you.
Well, much of what I was going to say has already been said, but I will add that I have seen many students of the month over the years. And you were the first that I would say, I would think of as a polymath. You seem to be good at so many things, in so many ways, it's amazing. And there are very few people like that. And I'm so glad that we have you. And I just want to say that one of the things that jumped out here is your love of dancing. Now, that's not usually associated with computer scientists and biologists and people like that. And this is why I think you're a polymath. You transcend the borders of discipline. And that is very, very impressive. Continue to work as you are. I think you've got a Nobel Prize in your future. Congratulations.
Congratulations. I can't add anything. So, we have a certificate for you and a photo op of your families they're here. So. And if the rest of the board gets some. You understand, the board, we got to get from space, what do we do? Let's see. Yeah, that's good because it's pretty back. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Just, you can. Congratulations. Endeavors. Now, would you like to introduce your friend? Yes.
Mountain View High School is very proud to recognize Benjamin Olson as our December Student of the Month. Ben Olson, a senior at Mountain View, grew up in San Diego and prior to moving to Mountain View, also lived in Guam because his dad was a pathologist for the Navy. Ben started at MVHS his sophomore year and shared what he likes most about MVHS is how nice everyone is, especially the teachers who are absolutely fantastic. Ben is currently taking AP Government, Advanced Computer Science, App and Game Design, AP Literature, AP Physics C, while also taking differential equations through concurrent enrollment at Foothill College. As you can see, Ben loves STEM and shared that when he grows up, he would like to explore a career in mathematics and linguistics. In his free time, Ben likes to cook, smoked ribs are his favorite, or talk with friends for hours as discussion evolves around an English essay and the difference between fressen and essen. Both are German words related to eating. When asked about his success, Ben thanked his mom, dad, and sister, and most importantly, his dogs, for their unconditional love and support. Congratulations, Benjamin Olson, for receiving December Student of the Month. We can't wait to see all of the amazing accomplishments coming your way in the future.
Yep, so let's start with the ribs. How do you like to cook them? What's your favorite recipe?
It is 6 hours slow smoked with a dry rub, a apple cider or apple juice. Oh god. Like remember this. 3 hours just with a rub on it, 2 hours in like wrapped in tinfoil with butter, brown sugar, and apple juice, and then 1 more hour with the barbecue sauce on top.
Sounds good.
Also,
Yeah.
also
You need to have to invite us over. Okay, well, congratulations, wonderful achievements.
Bill?
Yeah, another very, very impressive resume. This is terrific. Wonderful night. So I see that you have a special interest in mathematics
yes.
and linguistics. And you're taking differential equations at Foothill. Have you ever, so you've taken AP calculus and all the other ones. Have you looked into the foundations of mathematics and calculus? I think you might be interested in that with regard to your interest in linguistics.
I know of the foundations of mathematics, at least axiomatically. I am not well versed in the subject.
So you're rather young, so you've got that.
Yeah.
But I suggest that you do take a look at it. Also, I have to ask, I'm familiar with both German words. What's the difference between fressen and essen?
Yeah, so actually the original conversation, she told me that fressen and essen, they both mean to eat, fressen being of an animal. And I was just astounded that there need be a difference in words. And so we ended up asking her elementary school German teacher, she emailed him. And apparently the difference stems from the German word for like horse feed or animal feed,
Right.
which I can't remember what it is. And so that was a strange but interesting hole to fall down.
Well, I think you too have a great future. And I look forward to hearing more about it. Great work. Thank you.
Yeah, well. It's not a lot I can answer, but also said, like, well, I'm curious, so I have, service dog with me, what the ones you have.
That is a great question I'd like to ask as well. So we have Charlie, who is a little 20 pounds of terror. We actually did a DNA test on her to figure out what's going on in there, because we got her in Guam, where they're called boonie dogs because she was just a wild dog, and they call the jungle, since Guam has a bunch of jungles, they call the jungles the boonies. You can go hiking or boonie stomping. All the wild dogs are boonie dogs. So we had no idea what she was. a DNA test revealed that she was part Chihuahua, which made sense because she's 20 ounces of terror. And I can't remember what the rest was, but it made sense what she was. And then the Percy is a 60-pound lap dog. He is supposedly a Portuguese water, or no, supposedly he is a, oh God, what's it called? Labradoodle. And, but we think there's some Portuguese water dog in there because he doesn't quite look like a Labradoodle, so.
Well, some of us are very interested in both of your potential careers. My undergraduate degree is in math and my master's in computer science. And I see you going far beyond already because of course the industry's changed a little bit in the last number of years. So I expect good things out of both of you. Any other comments? All right, we have a certificate for you and would like to invite your family up. Next meeting. We'll have a photo op with you. She's like, Congratulations. Spotlights and our students of the month are always married. Dr. Myers. Special thanks to Susan and Ben. Hard acts to follow, so I will make my remarks brief. Wanted to share some photos as we wrap up our first semester. Here you can see our green team, and they're selling succulents at Los Altos, and actually we are giving them away. So they gave them away to each staff member. So that was a lot of work, and I'm very proud of the work that they're doing. There we go. Continuing in the vein of the students that we just listened to, we're focused on academic excellence, equity, and engagement. I want to say I too enjoyed the CSBA time to get to know our new board members and our incumbent. And congratulations to you, and I very much look forward to working with you as we continue to make MVLA stronger and support our students fully as possible. All right. Thanks. In the last month, we met together as a family partnership council where we have representatives from teachers, counselors, administrators, parents, board members who, as we had a presentation to look at how we can work to close the achievement gap and how we can look at the data that we've used in the past. We were working with Orenda, and so really enjoyed having the speaker that evening, and we are planning on continuing to delve into some of the best practices to not only close the achievement gap, but to lift up the achievement of all. And then also in that vein, in the news, we had an article that discussed our last board meeting. And during that board meeting, we brought some new classes forward from our services department.
And Mountain View High School will have 4 options that they will be looking at through career and technical education. And today, met with the leadership at Los Altos High School to discuss career pathways as well and to answer questions about strengthening the pathways that currently exist. But we also have been able to have some fun. Right before Thanksgiving, every year, Mountain View High hosts the turkey trot. And our principal here was daring enough to wear the turkey hat. I was able to bring my daughter, who's in the bottom left-hand corner, back from school, and just a well-attended event, and I look forward to the color run, which is happening soon, but I think it's a little messier, so we'll have to see how that goes as well at Los Altos. Wanted to also thank William Ware and our wellness efforts around informing our community about the dangers of fentanyl. And so this evening we had experts from local community nonprofits discuss how fentanyl can be found in so many different ways. And also we had a mother who lost her son at a local high school come and speak to the families. It was very compelling, and definitely someone who could be any of us, and I believe that was exactly the point. And so thank you for that. It was a very important meeting. Also wanted to share, and I think we did here, our athletics are in full swing. We have some champions, and we have a lot of students really staying physically and mentally fit. And we do look forward to celebrating our CIF champions from Los Altos cross country at a future board meeting, and really enjoying the athletic season with basketball and all sorts of other things going on. And then another spotlight I wanted to point out, we had 2 exciting things happening at Alta Vista High School. Alta Vista took a field trip to San Jose State University, and I believe that was with the support of the foundation. I know they also went to San Francisco State, and really making sure that they're showing students what is possible. And then for the first time, and thank you to Suzanne Wolfel, who really along with Elba Garza, she's making sure I mention Elba. Both of them have led the efforts to have a legal advice for our families. And so we had this December 2nd, and it was a great success. And certainly families left with information that can help shape their futures. So that immigration legal clinic is likely something that we plan to repeat. Also wanted to share at Middle College, they're doing mock trials. And if you haven't ever had the opportunity to see these, they're so fun to watch, so impressive. If you unfortunately, like myself, may have had an opportunity to watch real trials, I would say that our students are much stronger and more poised, and frankly often have better topics. That's not necessarily, they have that choice, but they've been working on this and presenting, and as you can see, you don't see the adults in the photo, very much student-led. And then have some more pictures of the arts. Our high schools are definitely out there singing and participating. We've had our orchestra, we have our carolers from our campuses going out. They have been visiting different senior centers and participating in holiday events, and really being wonderful ambassadors for our schools. And then also here at Mountain View, our green team at Mountain View is really partnered with the very successful green team at Los Altos, and they've been working together in partnership on a district green team. But this was a fun event, and 3 of these 4 photos where they show the power of bicycle energy, and they run the blenders, they drink healthy drinks with that energy. And then in the bottom left, you can see a photo of those who came out last weekend for the tree. Both of our campuses have tree fundraisers, and you can see here their safety came first. They want to make sure they stood out a little bit from that green of the tree, the fluorescent. But they had great fun while they were also raising money for our athletic teams. And then we also, and thank you to Perla Masayo, we had an event for a district-wide reclassification of our English learners. Our students each had a profile where they spoke about where they were born, certainly how many years that they have been in the country, and to a slide, all of them thanked their teachers. And we're very grateful, many by many, for the extra efforts that their teachers made to make sure they felt welcome and make sure that they answered all of the questions. And as you know, this year we've expanded our English learner program to Los Altos. So it was great to have both groups together. And I really look forward to doing it in person. But we've also had a similar in person as well this semester. And then we had in November, and through the partnership of our foundations K-12, as well as our PTSA's K-12, our speaker series have been wonderful this year. We had Kristen Rousseau, who spoke about how to support your LGBTQ child and answered some wonderful questions, very well attended event, packed house at Los Altos High. And she was just very relatable, enthusiastic and youthful, and had some great questions about her and spoke about her personal journey. And then we have coming in January 19th, Raising Body Positive Teens with Wendy Sterling. And if you are able to go, I strongly encourage you to go to these events. And if you miss them, they are available online. You can see the recordings of them. And with that, I just want to thank all of you and look forward to a great holiday season. Thank you.
Next, we would have communications from district organizations. I see Dave here. Did you want to say a couple words, Dave?
Thank you. So I'm Dave Campbell and I represent the District Teachers Association, and I'm very happy to welcome our new board members and very grateful for our returning board members who won re-election and who are already seated. I want to thank you for serving our district and serving our community. I know it takes a lot of time away from your family and a lot of energy, and we appreciate everything that you do for us and you will do for us, for our new board members. I'm certain that trustees Vonnegut, Felice, and DeVay are aware from their years of service to the district, but I feel it's important to share that the leadership we have in place, from Dr. Meyer to our associate superintendents to our site principals and assistant principals, every single one of them to the person it's dedicated to providing the best educational service to our community and the students and all that they deserve. And in saying educational experience, I really want to be clear that involves taking care of their academic education, but also their emotional education, just their overall wellness. And I'm so grateful to work where I work, and I'm so grateful to serve the students these amazing students. I tend to say I know Ben. Ben just comes into my classroom quite frequently to visit a teacher who used to share a classroom with me. Amazing kid, and we're so lucky to be able to serve this community. I also want to say we are a team. We really consider the district leadership and the staff consider this a big team, and we're also a family. And we're a family that you've seen grow over the many years, Dr. Felice. And even though we're a big family, we really worry about taking care of each other and making sure that everybody's looked after. Again, I appreciate you stepping forward and serving the community like you are. It's something that I know the community members can't even imagine how much time goes into the work that you do for their families, for their children. I want you to know that we appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. We'll now move on to public comment. Is there any public comment on items that are not on the agenda? Seeing none, we'll move on. consolidated motion, this would be an action. I would entertain a motion to approve the consolidated motion, or does anyone want to pull?
I move that we approve items 11.1 to 11.15. Consolidated motion.
Is there a second? Second, someone second it, okay. Is there any comment? before we take a vote? Otherwise, all those in favor of the consolidated motion? Yes, sorry. Never mind. Sadie, what do you think?
I approve.
Ava?
I approve.
Sorry.
Look at you.
All right, all those in favor of the consolidated motion items 1 through 15, say aye. Those opposed? Yes. Students agree, and it's a 5-0 vote. Next, we have business action. Always an exciting moment. So, Mike Matheson would like to present the information involving the resolution and it was interim budget report.
Yes, thank you. Board members, new and returning alike, so good evening.
This is going to be your.
Yes, Elvis Lopez, our Director of Fiscal Services, is going to join me up here. So thank you. And we'll get started with our first interim budget report. And just a reminder, this slide deck is the condensed, very high level overview of what has been provided to you as well. And they're available online with hard copy. It's a very thick packet, which has all the backup materials, very detailed financial information in the form of the standardized accounting structure, as well as a cover letter that details a lot of it. And then hopefully you also receive a hard copy of what we refer to as the all funds spreadsheet, which is a big 1-page, literally one large sheet of paper, kind of give an overview of all the district funds. So those are at your disposal, and happy to discuss those in more detail if any of you would wish to do so. So when we take a look at the budget, this just kind of sets the scene. Sorry for those of you guys, back to you. Wonderful slides. Right, one of our goals is maintaining fiscal stability, and so this is a part of supporting those goals. Obviously, that's kind of one of the foundations that supports our human achievement. I just wanted to remind us of our budget cycle, especially as we are starting new board members. Our budget cycle starts, February, March, April of every year. We adopt a budget in June. We are required to do 2 interim reports. So this is the first of those 2, and that happens December 15th every year. We will do a second interim report, March 15th, and then we close the books. Our fiscal year ends on June 30th. And then we spend the next couple of months wrapping up all the paperwork and closing everything out, and then present the end of the year financial actuals, the unaudited versions, by September 15th. So that just kind of sets the stage of where we are in that cycle. This is, like I said, the first interim report. We'll be back with a similar presentation, same format in a couple of months, midway through the year. And let me just pause too to talk about the MVLA story, because I think it's helpful in explaining the budget and what we look at that might be similar to some districts, but different than other districts, right? So in California, with over 1,000 school districts, the vast majority are under the local control funding, so they are state funded. It's a formula. How many students do you have? It's a specific dollar amount. That's how much funding you get. Attendance goes up, enrollment goes up, you get more money. Enrollment goes down, you get less money because of course. We are over in that red box, which are referred to as basic aid or community funded districts. So that means from our local property taxes, we get that state target level and then some. And per state law, those local property taxes have to stay local. So we use all those funds to support our students in their achievement. And so what that means is we're funded at a higher level than state funded districts. And it also means though that as enrollment goes up or down, that funding per student doesn't necessarily correlate, right? So if funding is flat, because property taxes are flat and enrollment goes up, then you got to do more with the same funding and vice versa. So it helps set the stage for that. Within the state, it used to be about 10% on the
Although I know at CSBA and the Schools for Sound Finance, they were talking that numbers increased, whereas like 150 districts maybe now are in that community funded status. Within Santa Clara County, we actually have quite a few also of those community funded districts. But even those districts are not all funded alike, so we can compare with neighboring districts. But the per student funding in those districts is based upon property tax, which was set in 1970, and Prop 13, which is one other presentation. But again, it sets the context for our budget, the numbers and what changes. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Elvis to talk through some of the numbers, and then I'll bounce back.
So on this slide, you'll see what we adopted the budget at, the revenues and expenses. And equal out. And you'll see they've got an increase in fund balance. So in essence, we just took a snapshot of it and said all our restricted accounts were at zero and we spent everything the prior year. So that's kind of what we anticipate that we spent all our restricted dollars the prior year. The first interim, you see revenues go up because in our CSAM, there's certain accounts that we have to carry the revenues over, but because we cannot carry out any fund balances. So that's kind of what state says. This is what you have to spend, and you have to do the further revenue for the following year for the year revenue. So you'll see a jump in revenues for first interim, bringing some of those dollars back in our books. We also got more state money for public funds. We got music grant discretionary, which is about 2.6. And a slide later on, you'll see the actual numbers of the other accounts we got more money on. Do not worry about the fund balance decreasing. I know that attracts people that we're losing money, and we're not. It's actually spending all of our restricted accounts out zero in amount. So, next slide. So here you'll see revenues again. Unrestricted side is kind of the one we mostly focus on. That's where all the raises come and everything else that we're allowed to spend on. Restricted side is more of this is defined by the role that we're set. So if they tell us this is for instructional materials, that's all we got to spend on. No salaries can be spent on. If they tell us this is regarding the music fund that we're getting soon, again, it's strictly to those funds that we can be entitled to spend on. And here you go. This is unrestricted and restricted. It's kind of more in details. Our unrestricted fund is going up by 378,000 for this year. And again, restricted is our fund balance that we're spending down all of our COVID funds, saying we're trying to spend it all out. This is, we have, I think, 3 more years we can spend the COVID funds every year that we receive. So in our mind, that's the dollar we want to spend out first.
So before I go to the next slide, just why we put this on here is to break out how this looks on paper versus what's going on behind the scenes, right? That there is this beginning balance of all these dollars, and that's federal money, it's state funds, it's donations that we collect each year, or sometimes collect and don't spend and pay out. So this really unpacks the story of what's going on. Is it a surplus? Is it a deficit? When you just look at it combined, it's a little bit too simplistic, so this gives a better picture of the dollars we're spending on the unrestricted, which is the vast majority of our funds, the dollars that obviously restricted and can only be spent on certain. Are the restricted funds, are those funds that we've already spent, or we anticipate some of that is to be spent? So what this is showing is all this budget is planned expenditures for the rest of the year. So it includes our actuals, what we spent through October 31st, and what we're planning to spend. So great question. And which I'm a little bit ahead, I'm stealing some talking points. Sorry, I was spent. Part of that is on paper, we're planning to spend it. Accounting rules and the software that Elvis actually has to push the button on. If we don't show that we're spending a lot of those restricted dollars, it spits out an error. It says, no, can't do that because you need to show that you're spending a lot of those restricted dollars. So we have almost the same issue or situation, I should say. Not really an issue, it's a situation where when we adopt a budget in June, right? A lot of new information comes in, the state adopts their budget, which impacts the money we'll receive. We do our end of year financials, we realize there's restricted funds that we did not spend, even though we said we likely would, but we didn't, so then we have to adjust it, and then it shows up as expenditures in the current year showing we're spending.
per hour. So this is the significant changes that we had. We have budgeted, I think we had 2.9 drawing. We actually received $500,000 more. The more restricted accounts, like I mentioned earlier, the arts, music, and instruction, we got that this year. That was not in our adopted budget, 2.7. Learning recovery is the same thing, it was not in our adopted budget. This is new dollar we got this year. And as Mike talked about, the 1.3 is more of the unspent restricted funds that we had, again, donations and other accounts that we have as well. Significant changes also in unrestricted, 1.5, we had an increase, kind of sub cost, but again, we understood that because there's been some absentees going on. But in our minds, we want to keep the same teachers in the classroom, because we feel that affects students if we are constantly changing teachers. So I feel we have stability in the classroom, students learn the same way. And now the last one is the one-time spending to offset the COVID fund that we receive every year. That we keep receiving it. They keep telling us, well, here it is, and you have 3 years, I think 5 years to spend, so we're trying to spend it all now.
So when we get 4.3 million in this arts, music, and instructional discretionary and a learning and recovery emergency block grant, that's a huge influx of revenue. And that last bullet point reflects that we have to have matching offsetting plan expenditures to kind of balance that. Even if we don't spend it all this year, we're fine. We're very aware of the deadlines. Going back to 2020, the first round of those. Yeah, I can't remember what it stands for. Elementary and secondary school emergency recovery years. You know, we look at those deadlines and spend the dollars that expire first before expire later. You know, and the sub cost, just to point that out, because I think it's an example of we look at the impact of the classroom first. We adopt a budget. We have teachers unexpectedly have to go on leave of absence. We replace those with a full-time teacher. When we think that leave of absence is going to be extended, that's better for students, it's better for the learning. It's a higher cost than putting a daily sub in there or a long-term sub, right? So that's unpacking that, what's happening there a little bit. We continue to pay, I think it's the highest or close to the highest rate. I'm looking at Layla for our sub pool. Because when Layla goes to her HR meetings, all districts are struggling with trying to get subs in their classrooms, and so we're trying to prioritize that so we have certificated people in the classrooms every day. And there's a cost with that, but some of that cost, you know, is borne by those ones. So just checking in with our district reserve levels in 2018, right around there, the board adopted a new reserve policy. And it had 3 components to it. We're required to have 3% minimum. That's the state requirement. We check that box off. What was added at the time was 2 months operating expenses, which is the guideline for federal, state governmental agencies. And that equates to about 17%. So at the time we adopted that, we weren't anywhere near close to 2 months operating expenditures. We've made progress towards that, but that is a target we're still working towards. It's a moving target, so it's a percentage of your annual expenditures. So when expenditures go up, then the dollar amount we need there grows as well. And so we keep working our way towards it. It's not the first thing we put in our budget, right? So we prioritize programs to students in the classroom. So we want to make sure we're doing that first, and then look for opportunities to help get to that target reserve level. And so that's why maybe as it grows quickly as maybe the finance office would like, but we understand it's much broader than that. And holistically, we look at where we're at and what's on the horizon and feel very confident where we are on that reserve level. And then the last component stands for other post-employment benefits. And so that's not the California pension, it's not the state teacher retirement system or the public employees retirement system, which stirs and purrs. This refers to locally negotiated retirement benefits for our employees. So that's in our contract with the District Teachers Association as well as our classified employees, and primarily it's medical benefits. If they work with us a certain number of years, a certain age, can receive those medical benefits. When they reach a certain age or a certain years. And we have to do pay a consultant to do a study, called an actuary, and says, oh, if things stop now, how much money would you need to pay those benefits in the future? That's where that number 3.1 million comes from. So they calculate all that out. And we have been putting money into that separate fund, and we've actually exceeded that. But we continue to fund it at that level. And so holistically, we take a look at those numbers and look at how we're doing to achieve those. All right, Ellison, this is back to you, looking at the multi-year projection.
This is our multi-year projection, obviously, 22-23 is based on the numbers we just gave you. 22-23 is adding, again, we're looking at the program that we say we have this year and kind of continue to monitor this further out year. So on both ends, you'll see that there's a continuing increase in the fund balance, so it's healthy, our fund balance, it's all unrestricted dollars that it's being contributed at. Both 22, 23 and 22, 24 have 5% increase that we negotiated with our association, so it's already built in. 24, 25 is our outer year, so there's a bigger increase because there's no increase or raises on that last year, and it's kind of just a snapshot of it. We had our properties tax, I'm gonna say Mike's under this one for. We projected 8.5, we actually got it this year, so it's kind of a good thing that Mike actually, I'll give Mike all the credit for that because he actually looks at all these numbers of the property tax and assessments we get from the tax assessors. So that's on the total revenues for that, and then 7% increase for plumbing and 5%. Because we go a little bit conservative in the outer years because again, we don't know what's happening in the outer years. So we want to give us kudos because we hit it this year.
No predictions.
We'll see. Yeah, technically it's 8.58, and we assumed 8.5, so we were up 0.08 percentage points. So and just this slide, it shows the underlying assumptions, right? Any budget looking at the future relies on a set of assumptions and those foundations. So part of that is enrollment. We saw enrollment decrease this year from the prior year. Right? So that's something we work in coordination with Pet Services on enrollment, enrollment trends and where students are coming from, maybe where they're going, if we can track that. And then we layer that in the future years with our demographic study, which is getting towards the outer end of that. It was compiled in 2016 and updated in spring of 2017. And so now, it's a 10-year forecast. And now, what is it, we're 6-7 years after that was done. So it's probably time to freshen that up and commission a new one. But we look at that to project, okay, what's happening with enrollment, because that drives staff. So those are the assumptions with enrollment. As Elvis said, secured property tax, next year, that column in green, we get monthly reports from the county's assessor office. What's the assessed valuation look like for our district in particular? And then we compare that with our historical trends. All right, so the number on December 1st this year, what was that last year? What was it the year before? How do we compare? And in those prior years, what did that result in, and how are we trending this year? Knowing no 2 years are exactly alike, because a significant big change in property hands can have a huge impact on the assessed valuation and therefore the property taxes. Right? But with someone fitting right around first interim, if you're a property owner, you hopefully met the December 10th deadline to pay those property taxes. And so this is where we get the bulk of our revenue from is that secured property tax. So that's why we emphasize this number, because it's such a driver of our revenue, going back to that first slide about how we are funded different things. And then that out year is challenging, so we usually budget conservatively to lower that down, because we don't know what's going on with the real estate market until we get closer. Right? And so even when we hear headlines of the real estate market is cooling off or slowing, well, is that a national headline? Is that a state headline? Is that a county headline? You went from the county, what's happening in South County, like Gilroy and Morgan Hill, can be different than what's happening in the local community, well, South Citizens and South. So we try and really drill down and look at just what's in our community that affects. We have to build in assumptions for retirement and pension costs. And so when I transitioned this position 9 years ago, this third one was about 8.25, or it just started to increase, right? So part of this is the history story, because I was a former history teacher. of what this used to be, right? It's more than double in terms of those retirement costs. The positive, because we like to look at positives, is that this number now is constant in all 3 years. So from a planning perspective, at least it's staying constant as a percentage, right? A higher salary is still a higher dollar amount, but the percentage is flat. So that's the first time in the last 9 years where we've done a multi-year projection, and that percentage is not increasing. It's a high number, I'll grant you that, but at least we can hit that plateau. Our PERS number, it's hovering around there, it's dropping down a little bit, but that one actually changes year to year. Because each system is set up differently, there's certain statutory rules regarding how easily they can be changed. And then we do include special ed cost increases because we already know our staff, well, we know staffing and other services, but we know those costs continue to increase. Students coming in, we're trying to match the services we're required to provide. And so we put in a cost escalation there. All right, so after this, it doesn't stop. We go ahead and continue to monitor the tax growth projections we shared for next year, new state budget proposals. We just had election, Prop 28, arts and music funding. So I was on my monthly call with all the other chief business officials in the county. That was a topic of conversation. What's the requirement? What's the funding? Wait, it's got to spend how many on people? Wait, the school sites get some autonomy over this, you know. So we monitor that, and that feeds into our plan for next year. We look at the COVID relief funds and which ones we have to spend and which ones are set to expire, and which ones we have to report on, and how to meet the needs, right? So we're appreciative of those. It's a great opportunity to have to say, hey, here's a need, but we can meet that need with these ones funds. We continue, we'll have negotiations with our employee association, we do every year. We will start looking ahead to next year already with our loan projections that feeds into staffing. So we're already starting to plan, and as I mentioned, we update those numbers this week in March for the second annual budget report. This is your cheat sheet. Some of you have seen this before, but in that big, thick blue packet of the budget report, you'll see Form 01, Form 13, Form 11. You can refer to this in terms of what that refers to. In the statewide system, school accounting, there's different funds. You know, 01 through 08 is the general fund, that's the bulk of what we've been talking about. But adult education has its own fund. Cafeteria is tracked separately, its own fund. Our bond program with our construction is tracked separately. So it gives you a little cheat sheet for that. It also explains the headings on the all fund spreadsheet. So that's for you. And I have a great team. I like to brag about them. And other departments have a great team as well, and they get to acknowledge them when they present. But Elvis is the point person with all of our accounting and finance staff, and Irene is our admin assistant. Fantastic, they're behind the scenes putting this together, so it's a chance to acknowledge them. You can get them in person. And that concludes our presentation. And of course, we will take questions, comments if you have them, and there's an action item. So the board does get to vote on this one.
Yeah, Mike, with regard to the pension, both PERS and STRS, those rates, even though there was constant for PERS, they're not guaranteed to stay constant, right?
Correct. STRS is a little more consistent because it takes more to change that rate. But PERS they set annually. So yes, there's no guarantee those.
So my concern is if there's a decline in the stock market, a big decline, that means that the projected return on investments for STRS and PERS is not going to be met.
Correct.
And that means, if I'm correct, that our contribution increases.
Yep.
So that's a danger, right?
Yes. That is something on the horizon that we need to pay attention to. Yeah.
The other thing I would point out is that those percentages as they stand are a substantial dollar amount paid for people who used to work here but no longer do. So they're not current services. Now, I'm not saying they don't deserve what they're getting, but I am saying that perhaps the state has to be more realistic in its assessments of what it can accomplish with this investment.
Yeah.
It's just something we live with, but we have to keep our eye on.
Yeah, and your note about the stock market returns on all those funds that STRS and PERS manage and invest. Right, because they do that same actuarial study and how much will we need 30 years from now to fund this. And that's what prompted, almost a decade ago, the state to take action to increase those rates, especially with STRS saying 8.25% that employers pay, separate and in addition to what employees pay, we need to increase that. Otherwise, we're not going to pay these obligations for retirees. That's what prompted that escalation with employers.
That was a severe jolt.
Yeah, yep. And often, especially state funded districts, the increase in STRS and PERS every year, basically any additional state funding went purely just to cover that. And it didn't, it didn't have a tangible, impact in terms of what their employees were experiencing from salary. It was total compensation, but it was retirement compensation, right? So it's deferred and it made it harder than impact classrooms.
Thank you. So do we need a motion on this? I think
Yes,
it's an action
we do.
item. So I need to certify that the district will be able to meet its financial obligations for the 22 fiscal year. And we adopt resolution number 22/23-11.
A second?
Okay, and moved and seconded that, we accept the first reduction word and, this responsibility of our district at this time. Is there any other questions?
I approve.
Sadie? Board, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Aye. Next resolution has to do with developer impact fees. Was it?
Sure. I'll just say quickly from the table, if you don't mind, this is an annual report we submit. We collect developer fees. The statutory rate that the state sets, which I would comment is woefully lower than what it costs to construct buildings in Mountain View, Los Altos area, but nonetheless, we collect those on a new residential and commercial development. And so this annual report shows how much we collected, what of that we spent, and then what it's to be used for. And really, this is tied to growth, right? So the money, the theory is if we're adding capacity in people's homes and commercial, then that ultimately can lead to more students. So you can use it on facilities construction that can add capacity. So additional classrooms or portables or things like that. So.
And then this is required by this government code that we have a resolution on the impact fees in this time frame of the year. So is there a motion to that effect?
So moved.
So moved it. Jay seconds it. Is there any more questions for Doug? No? Well, then Ava?
I approve.
Say. Board, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The next item is a call for nominations to the California School Board Association Delegates Nomination. Now, we don't have anybody per se from our board, but I might be interested in doing that in the future if anybody wants to nominate me. This is people that represent us in our region, which has 7 vacancies at this time. Did anybody read about it or have anything to say about it?
So are you interested in doing it?
I would be interested.
Well, I nominate you.
Okay. Is anybody, is there a second to that?
Second.
Second. Is anybody else be interested in being on the delegate assembly? Not at this time. Okay, that's nice. Any other discussion about it? Ava?
I approve.
Katie? All those in favor of being nominated for delegate assembly, say aye. Aye. So we'll move on to a public hearing. And to do that, I will gavel out of this meeting. And open a public hearing on the school district and the District Teachers Association contract to be owners. And we all got a thing in our work packet that are kinds of things that are going to be on the contract consideration for this year. Workdays, calendar, agency fees, and I mean, this is the table of contents, all that. So that is what we are having a public hearing about. Does anyone have anything to speak about in the public hearing? Having to do with contract reopeners. Okay, see none, no comments. So hearing none, I will close the hearing and reopen the regular meeting. And now we will have a recommendation. We would entertain a motion to approve the contract reopeners between MVLA and MVLA. We're the MVLA side, so we would be approving that we agreed to have negotiation issues. Do I hear a motion about that?
I move approval of the mutual contract reopeners between MVLA and BTA.
For a second?
Second.
Okay. Any other discussion about that? No. Ava?
I approve.
Dave? I approve. Board, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right. So we approve the contract reopenings. Now, the drum roll to the annual organizational meeting. And that is, we will now elect the new officers. I have to do it down. For this next year. So it calls for us to elect the president, vice president, and clerk. So do I have nominations for officers for president, vice president, and
I nominate, as Mayor Ortiz.
you are nominated as mayor clerk?
Yes.
Have nominations for the other positions? I'm allowed to do it myself, aren't I? Okay, I nominate Bill to be the president and Sanjay to be the vice president. Does everybody that's been nominated accept the nomination?
Yes.
Yes. And anybody have opposing different candidates they would like to recommend? At this time? No? So we'll go ahead and take a vote. Alva, what do you think?
I approve.
Sadie? I approve. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Okay, there you have it. Is this where I can do it together? Or not? Actually.
More of that.
This is on behalf of the entire Board of Education. And Catherine made such a point of really wanting that gavel to make sure that your remembrance of us included. Yeah, we'll see, we want to take it out and show all the. Oh, I don't. There we go. Oh, your own gavel.
Thank you very much for your year. You did a fantastic job in your first year being president, but you kept the meetings on time, kept us moving forward. We've answered all those emails, from the community, so we appreciate that, and we know how much time that takes. So thank you very much for basically keeping us in line and keeping us moving forward the whole year.
In and out. Anyway, I've enjoyed it, being, well, I've enjoyed being on the board the whole 4 years, and I'm excited to be on another board with every, the new ones I've been to you guys for your terms, and I did enjoy also being president this year, and I did mind the emails. It, gave me a lot of practice. I felt like I was writing an AP, paper about every other day. Having to be really careful and subtle about the basics. Anyway, I will take it for now.
Well, now that you have your own gavel, you don't need this one.
Although you can see they nailed mine down.
I just want to add to Sanjay's comments, my appreciation for the great job you did, Catherine.
Thank you.
As I wrote in your card, when I looked around, you were doing everything, all the time, everywhere. Every time I went to a meeting, you were there. It's incredible. And I just think everybody had that experience with you. And you have given great service to the district. We appreciate it. You have done so much in 4 years in this county. Great job. And the public recognized it by re-electing you.
Thank you.
So you got your reward.
I appreciate you for that.
Okay, so we'll move on now for the secretary. Traditionally, Dr. Meyer or the superintendent, whoever it is, serves as secretary for the board. And my recommendation would be that we continue that practice. May I have a nomination to that effect?
I recommend that we, that Dr. Meyer as our secretary.
Second.
Okay, moved by Catherine, second by Sanjay. Is there any discussion of that? No discussion. How do you vote? Sadie? Thank you. Board members indicate by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries 5-0. Dr. Meyer is once again the secretary to the board. Next, we need to adopt our regular meeting dates for the Board of Trustee meetings in 2023 calendar year. You see them there. This is just well, it says information in action. Is this the first reading, Kelly, or second?
Second.
Okay, so I think we can vote on this. Is there anybody who would like to change the date, add a date? So these are the regular meetings. They're important because certain actions by the board can be taken only at regularly scheduled meetings, and these are the ones. So you just can't call a special meeting for certain activities that the state requires. So it's very important that we have enough of these meetings to meet all of our obligations. And I think this will do it. Later on in the meeting, I'm going to recommend that we have a study session in January to hear the Los Altos and Mountain View data reports, as well as the Middle College and the Alta Vista reports. So, but that'll be later. For now, this is just the regularly scheduled meetings. So do I have a motion to adopt the regularly scheduled meetings as presented?
I move that we, pass resolution into /3/14 regular meeting dates of the Board of Trustees for 2023.
Thank you, Catherine.
Second.
Second by Peter. Okay, any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the vote. Arva,
I approve.
Sadie? Thank you. Board members, all in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. Board committee assignments. I think you all had in your board packet 2 attachments. One showing the assignment for last year, and the other showing blank for who will fill them this year. So I'm going to refer to those. Some of these we traditionally fill by rotation as much as we do the board offices. So for example, it is now Sanjay's turn to move into check. But as I mentioned earlier in the meeting, Jack will be hiring a new executive director. I was president of the check board for 2 years. And I think it would be best if I represented the district during that hiring period. So perhaps Sanjay and I have already spoken of this. Sanjay is really to come on board July 1st. And I would continue as the JPA representative from this board until June 30. So unless someone has an objection to that, that'll be the assignment for chat. And then Catherine is next in line for when Sanjay vacates the position. He'll be there for at least 2 years. Or a year and a half, I can't remember. So that will be for chat. Let's go now in order to the top. The challenge team. Catherine, Sanjay, are you still able and willing to do that?
Yep, I'll attend whenever I can, but you know, this is open for anybody really to attend. There's no real.
Well, it
need
doesn't
to have
really matter to
representatives.
me either because I'm webmaster for challenge team, so I was going anyway.
Yeah, so if others want to go ahead and join the town
I
team,
think
it's a
good
great.
idea.
Yeah.
To come volunteers and here's the going on.
Right, so I think that's fine, so we can just add your names to it, but we'll add their names as well.
Okay, so we'll have that assignment. Okay, very good. So that's challenge team. Now, the City of Mountain View Youth Services Committee does not have a regular time and place for meetings. It's and as needed.
Where are you, Bill?
This is the one right after challenge team on our list.
City of Mountain View Services Committee. And
Oh, you're on the last,
the second one.
last year's, the new work sheet is slightly different.
Oh, different sheet.
And he's following the one that we already have filled in, so it's easy to know who was what before.
Okay. I have to find it somewhere else on the list.
Yes, I see what you're saying, Catherine. Yeah, I think the other sheet is more nearly complete. Okay, so I think it's always best if a Mountain View resident attends in the case that this meeting comes up. So I know we have 4 Mountain View residents here. And since this happens only very rarely, we could just ask for it as it comes up. But if somebody would like to volunteer now, we'll be happy to entertain them.
Well, it says meetings as needed.
What was that, Catherine?
Yeah.
Isn't that city one, that youth services one as needed? And we're not really required.
In the last few years, we have had a representative in the event that we needed or wanted to make a statement regarding a particular agenda item.
For youth services,
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought you were doing the city.
I see that, but last year had this,
City of Mountain View.
but this has this.
So it was really only for the city. We did not have any that I'm aware of attend the service, other than our own youth.
Yes, I mean, I think that it's like, so it says rep is not required, but if
Yeah.
anybody, I think the question is, does anybody would like to be that person? So when that, if a meeting does come up, that the person, whoever's wants to be, will be, make sure that person will be able to, if they want to put their name. Yeah, that's what you're asking.
Yeah. So, but if there's nobody who wants to volunteer for that, we can just leave it. And if the meeting comes up, then we would have to send someone. So we'll just do it that way.
Well, I think it's more like availability. I know, it's, you know, all the time.
I think it'll depend on the circumstances. Okay, we've done check. Both for the Los Altos City Council and Mountain View City Council, The idea here is to attend as needed, not to attend every single meeting.
The last statement.
Right. And typically, if we're needed, we're all needed.
So all hands on deck to show the power of many in voice.
So I just tell our new board members that you're automatically on that list. And you may be summoned to appear when we need to show up at a meeting for the city council. So that gets us to the Los Altos High School PTSA. Last year Fiona did that with Catherine as the alternate. Is there anybody here who would like to take on the Los Altos PTSA meetings? These are at night usually. So they're ideal for someone who's working during the day.
They've been approved. 7 p.m. the first Tuesday in general.
I can probably do it.
Okay,
Yeah.
that'd be great. Thank you, Edmund. And do we have an alternate? You want to still be alternate?
I don't mind being the alternate.
Okay. And similarly for Mountain View High School PTSA.
Well, I have, if I switch to Mountain View PTSA, and I don't know if I want to be the alternate too. So. You can do Mountain View, we have PTSA.
Okay. We'll do that. MVLA GLAC committee. Sanjay, you're the rep now. Would you want to continue, or should somebody else have an opportunity?
Somebody else have an opportunity to do that?
It's all done in Spanish.
No, not always. I mean, there's an English portion to it, but they use from Spanish as well. It's usually on Zoom. They usually have the meetings on Zoom.
Oh, it's nice.
Do you know wrong? I mean.
No, it's scheduled ad hoc, so, but usually it's in the evenings, I think around 7 o'clock, around 6:30. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Pearl and I have got her right around 6:30 usually, the D-Line meetings.
Yeah, and at the request of parents, it's Zoom.
It's Zoom.
And yeah, and then from March 2nd, and then the next. So they're, days.
March and then May.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are you, are doing that second day? I'm like, do it.
Yeah, if you want to go do that, it's fine. So you can take my name and put Esme and, Catherine on there.
And then
Okay, what about the Family Partnership Council?
well, that was Debbie and me last year. I wouldn't mind staying on it, but we would need Debbie. Yeah. Did you want to do that?
And it's also a meeting where more people want to as well. You attend much like challenge.
The challenge here?
I mean, every partnership.
Yes.
And I'll go to and let people think I'm home in the evening.
Okay, so that's fine.
And that's pretty extra time. The foundation, I'd really like to do the foundation. I haven't ever do the foundation.
You can do the foundation.
Like.
You can do the foundation. Yeah.
Then who would want to be my alternative?
I'm not sure.
The alternate on the foundation.
Oh, you're going to do the foundation.
I want to do it, but, and Sundays I can take it over.
Foundation, right, yeah.
And then But then who will be the alternate?
Okay,
Who would be the alternate?
well, someone step forward.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm happy to do it, but I've been on the foundation for years, so. Maybe somebody else would like a turn?
It meets once a month, at 7:30.
I think it's 7:30.
Yes.
Yeah,
7:30
7:30.
on Wednesday. I think all of us have run.
The second Wednesday of
For
the
the first time. Yeah, they're one of the ones that starts later. Once a month, you could be surprised when they start at 6:30. And they don't have it at the end of the year and holiday. Yeah, parties.
I'll do it if, no one else wants it. So I'll be the alternate, Catherine.
Really forget.
Green
team.
Anybody want to join me on the green team?
Didn't you rename it?
It means quarterly.
Green.
It's typically what, 4 o'clock?
Yes, and it's usually on a board day, since we're here. And it's in the boardroom, and it is quarterly. Every third. So you wanted to stay on that, Phil? You just stay. And then.
I'll continue on it, but, if there's room for 2, let's put it that way. Okay, well, I'll just do it then.
On climate action, I mean, our.
Yeah.
Green.
Okay,
You can both go. See, some things are like the one person goes and then there's an alternate, and there's other things you can go anyway. But if there's any speaking to be done or whatever, the one that's done it personally speak. But others, up to 2 because of the Brown Act. Good people to go at any time. And some of the board.
it's just important if there are more than 2 board members at any of these meetings, that they not engage in discussion about actions that could be taken.
Yeah, that's why we try to keep them too.
That's why we try to keep it to 2. Partnership Council, although Catherine and I have been on it for 2 years, we've had only 1 meeting because of the pandemic.
Right.
So I think it would be nice if we both could continue in that.
I don't the one.
Now, the next one is easy, MVLA PTA Council, that's an ex officio, the board president is always the representative, but an alternate is a good idea. Is there somebody who would like to be my alternate?
I can do it all.
Okay, great. So we've got that covered. The Wellness Committee, Catherine, I think you want to be on that for sure, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure. You didn't even put it on the new list. I would like to, last time Debbie and Fiona did it, I'd like to be one of them. And it seems like maybe one of the, new folks, it's just a matter of availability. But, when did they meet this? One will be. The one, I think it says up to 34:30.
Definitely interesting.
And then alternates between without the,
And I understand this has a different name now, or is that not happening?
No, it is wellness collaborative.
The Santa Clara County District, Video District Reorganization.
So that would be Catherine and, Vita.
Yeah.
And then the district on reorganization.
Then again, it's ex
LDU,
officio.
Bill, right? And then, if I got elected to the CFCEA delegate, it would make sense for me to go to the,
County office, board of education, yeah. Monthly meeting.
those meetings.
Yeah,
But, if I don't get elected, I'd still.
you can still go, yeah, it's fine. That's the Santa Clara County School Board Association, fourth Wednesday meeting,
Yeah.
right?
Saturdays.
So the one before the Santa Clara County Committee on District Reorganization, what did we decide here? So that's Fiona was that?
Well, that wasn't actually right, because I was in, because I.
Oh, so you were
was the
going,
president or president ex officio.
okay, so you were the one, so you were going to that,
No,
whatever.
there wasn't.
There was never a meeting though, okay,
They didn't have one on.
okay.
So are we on the board policy review committee yet?
Yes.
Yeah.
Are we doing the board policy review committee? Catherine? Are you still on that?
There's a
I don't
lot
need to do it.
of policies that were completed, years past, so now it's minimal. So,
We need to catch up a little on.
we have it quarterly or even less often, but we no longer have a backlog.
Right, so the backlog is gone, but we still get things from CSBA
We get annual,
regularly, and most of them we.
yeah,
Well,
we work-
correct.
Although, Dr. Meyer says that it has to, she worked in the admin, has just, updated them, and then if there was any controversial item, then have like an ad hoc, policy review committee, you know, or like when we had license down, we had it was.
So maybe there's no
Than
longer-
just updating things that come from the state.
Many of them are, you know, the law has changed, they're changing the number, or it's changing the wording.
So, what I'm hearing is that we might not have a need to have a committee
Correct.
appointed here, but that as need arises, we could form an ad hoc
Yeah,
one to handle it.
that would be my opinion, is that we change it to ad hoc, and then if there's an issue, X, Y, Z, and where the members are particularly interested in X, Y, Z, they can do it.
Okay, so let's handle it that way as an ad hoc committee.
And then facility.
And the facilities committee. So this one meets conveniently the first Thursday of every month. The time to be determined, currently it's 8:30,
8:30 by Zoom.
but by Zoom. So that's very convenient. So, I know Sanjay has been on it, I've been on it.
I mean, for the two new board members, I mean, this is a good, you're basically some all the work that's going on, construction is happening on this campus. So this is a good meetings to kind of know what's happening, understand the process a little bit, so that's.
Although,
If either one of you are interested in being a part of that, it's a good one too.
I think one of them should, one of you should do it, and then one of us has already been on it. So that, you know, kind of like we could talk to you on the side and explain things that, you know, so you're just not blown away by all these things that you haven't heard from about before. So one of you guys should do it, and then one of us. what we're gonna do.
Thursday morning, 8:30.
It can be changed, I mean, they're flex, they can do lunches. Well.
Flexible, but yeah.
I don't want to be flexible.
But if you have a preference, I am.
Invite early. So
Sure.
the time is moving.
It's Zoom.
That's true. Doing-
Just put on your face. And I love
So
it.
Yeah.
I can do it if we wanna.
Okay, I love it. I would stay on it too unless, Phil could be the president unless Sunday you want it back.
That's fine.
I'll keep it and one of you guys bring
That's no change.
it. You said you do it now and that's.
You'll do
it.
Okay, that's all.
I think that's, yeah,
So who ended up saying?
I think that's.
I can do it.
Okay. Is that all of them?
That's all of it.
So when we get the minutes or maybe. I appreciate it, Debbie, so I know what I said and who's what. If we have that sooner than the minutes.
Okay, so we have a record, were you keeping the test?
Kelly and I kind of corrected it that for Debbie for the minutes. So we'll compare notes and send them out so everybody is clear on it and then we need to fix it.
And if the situation turns up where you can't meet your commitment, you think it's an important meeting, just let us know.
Yeah.
And somebody will take your place. You always cover for each other. Okay, that's done, so it's time to open the annual organizational meeting of the District Finance Corporation. I declare that meeting open. Call the meeting to order. Time to appoint new officers. Traditionally, in fact, it has always been, to the best of my knowledge, the board officers in their same positions on this corporation as on the board. So may I have a motion to that effect?
I move that corporation have the same officers as the board itself.
Right. So that will be me as president, Sanjay as vice president, and Esma as clerk. How do you?
I approve.
You approve? Say,
I approve.
good, thank you. Board members, any discussion? Okay, all in favor? Aye. Motion carried 5-0. Is there any other business for the financing corporation? Okay, seeing that, we'll move on and adjourn the financing corporation organization meeting. It is now adjourned for back to the board meeting. Board operation. Does any board member have correspondence to share? I got it.
I think since I already shared it.
I wanted to share this, when we went to CSBA, they had, speaker who was, very inspiring. And so I purchased it for all of us for our winter reading, and I hope you enjoy it. We spoke about, these struggles during adolescence and how we then, came to, take a group of public speakers, of color to Harvard and we, the competitions in that arena and just have along the way. I know you're reading right now for finals.
Well, thank you. It sounds like a very important, timely, pertinent topic. Look forward to it. Okay, date, time, and place of next meeting. That is currently January 9th, 2023. As I said earlier in the board meeting, I'd like to schedule a study session for the data reports from Mountain View and Los Altos High School, as well as Middle College and Alta Vista. This would probably be an hour and a half to 2 hours. typically in the afternoon.
Is there a desire to have all four, or we could, and have in the past separated the comprehensive sites and the alternative sites? With two different reports.
So
And also.
is there anything this way to
I would recommend having comprehensive from 4 to 6 or 4 to 5:30 in a study session on the 23rd. And then we will push Alta Vista and Middle College to a future meeting.
Okay.
Meeting after that,
Okay,
and not have any of those on the ninth. No, the ninth is a recess day. So our staff will not be. We will be, well, some staff. Will be there. So currently, for the ninth, we have tentatively scheduled a request that we have in the past for food service to speak about the new menus and the new thing, new what it is that they have with our director. As was referenced in our student report.
so is everybody okay with that on your schedule?
So January 9th for the comprehensive, and then we'll
No.
skip, no,
The 23rd.
23rd for the,
Comprehensive.
for the 23rd for the comprehensive.
Possibly the 13th, which is the February meeting, which is really going out. The last years. But we could do that.
Okay. Does that work for everyone? Okay, let's book it.
Okay.
Okay, board suggestions for future board reports and meetings.
Okay, I'd like to have one on the coordination between counseling and wellness therapy services and NCSS, you know, how everything coordinates between the different departments. A study
Okay.
session maybe.
Does that sound doable, Ellie?
In the future.
It does, and we can certainly take it back to the team who's working on this, talk about it, but I think it's a great topic.
And I think it's a topic that we should chit chat about more. And, yeah.
Okay. Any other
And the
suggestions?
whole group, you know, rather than just like on the committee or whatever.
Yes, I'd like to, when we, in the study session, we talked about, some of the students that were dropping out of AP courses or not getting enough, not having enough diversity in the AP courses. I'd like to see if we can get an update on, we're understanding why the kids were not signing up or why they were dropping out. So if maybe we can have an update on that. So there's no timeline on it, so I'm just, that's what, it's a future that can be
So
planned.
just to make sure we heard it correctly, dropping out of AP.
Honors and AP courses, right? Because one of the things that in the discussion is that they were,
Yeah, I
there
remember
were some of,
question.
I think other than, AP Environmental Science, we have a good, kind of a diversified group of students that are taking that, but then some of the other AP courses and honors courses, we're not seeing as much diversity. So
Looking at the demographics.
the demographics, why is that? And then we had some, I think there was some data of we know why students were dropping the course, right? Kind of just looking to understand what's happening.
Yes, this was the question from the committee report last time.
Right.
Yes.
Okay, another good topic.
So, now you had talked about. Skipping classes and why, what, preliminary, why we're skipping classes. So maybe you can update what is happening with that. How we're getting students be engaged.
Under the umbrella of chronic absenteeism, attendance policy.
Could that be covered in the study session for the comprehensive? Would that make sense or not really?
Maybe as a data point, but. Would it be study something? Yeah. Not
No.
in the same way mathematics or English literacy scores would. I think it is distinct, so, but we can take it back to see if there are links, which there most certainly.
Okay, anything else?
Just like to state that we're in the process of scheduling a board retreat. Which is typically approximately 4 hours to go over topics that, you know, as future board items or, you know, questions about protocol, team, passion, etc. So we're hoping to plan something in January.
So Kelly, on that topic, have you contacted the facilitator or a facilitator?
Yes,
Have you had this
we've used in the past, who's a former board member. And we have contacted, our office has contacted, so we're looking for a time.
Do we have his availability dates?
We do.
Okay, Debbie, could you please send around a, what do they call? The doodle to the board members with the available times of the facilitator, and we can fill in which of those we can do. Okay, that would be great, and then we can actually schedule this meeting. The sooner in January, the better, right?
Absolutely. At first blush, just as a warning, his availability is very interesting. But we will put it out.
Okay, I think that's everything. May I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
That's Stephanie, seconded by Sanjay. How about
I approve.
David?
I approve.
Thank you both. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion is approved. Thank you, everybody.